Oh, Gandalf just woke up because the podcast started. Hello, this is Lisa Russick with the podcast We're All Psychic, and today we have a wonderfully awesome guest, and we have been talking. Joy, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for
Gandalf said hello for you first.
It's great to be here. What a beautiful cat you got there.
He is a beautiful cat, and he's wanted to hear the answer to what you say to the question. Do you think we're all psychic?
Yeah, we're all. Do I think we're all psychic?
And Gandalf wants to know too, I guess. So
okay. I believe we have the ability. I wouldn't say every single person on the planet has that ability, but I would say virtually all of them. Yes, but until we awaken to it, it can lie dormant. It's like I used to work with, horses and such. And until I got into doing this, learning about the power within ourselves, like on the personal spiritual growth path, I had no idea I had this gift. I was completely shut down and numb. So yes, it was within me, but I certainly wasn't. I'm just going to change something here on my screen. There you go. I certainly wasn't aware of it. So I believe, yes, the vast majority of us, virtually everybody on the planet has that ability, but not many people are aware of it.
I agree with that. I think more and more are, though, fast, really fast. And Gandalf is totally aware that we're all psychic. He has answered the question many times. And how do you prove of her answer? He says every answer is acceptable. Yours is especially
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I love that. So I think too, because so many people are waking up to their intuition and getting messages and that, it can be a really confusing time for people as well. Because we're used to coming from the five senses and seeing everything as, it's physical and separate. And now you're getting messages or your intuition is saying things and it's like, what's going on here? So if that's anybody that's happening to, trust yourself. That's so big. If you don't trust yourself, you won't trust the messages that are coming in. Every time I worked with a client and something's coming in and I'm like, okay. And it generally comes in more than once, 2, 3, 4 times. I'll finally say, I might not say it the first time, but then I'll finally say, this might seem really weird, but this is what I'm hearing. And they're like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense. When this happened, okay, now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
So even if it's weird to you or it doesn't make sense, it might to somebody else, or as your consciousness, increases, then it might start making sense. So
yeah, I think get more background with it and stuff like that. So exactly. I find that especially true. With figuring out what their message is they're trying to get through a spirit or something. It's clearer now, definitely, but practice made it so much clearer. And that's a hard thing to practice, because some people don't really want to be a guinea pig for the mediumship, for example, luckily I found people who were willing to let me practice on them with that kind of thing, so I was fortunate that way. Because that's what for mediumship in particular for me was the validation from people that made me go, oh wow, that's real, that's really real, because I said this and I heard it from somewhere or nowhere or something. A spirit that I'm seeing told me this. That person told me it was right. That was something that really was hard for me to piece together. It still is sometimes, but it works. I'm okay with it. I'm great with it. But it's just still something that I can't explain at all, except with metaphysical terms, and some, quantum physics, people with quantum backgrounds of studying quantum mechanics and quantum physics who've been on the podcast and have said, they've proven all this stuff with that, those types of physics studies and and experiments, but it's such dense stuff for people because we've never dealt with it before. I think for people to really get into and rip apart and understand it on this level. If they called it something simple, instead of physics.
yeah, that can be okay. That's too much for me, but yeah,
you just say the word physics and most people go boom.
Yeah. You're just talking to each other through beyond the five senses.
Yes.
Instead of using words like this, telepathy, you're just communicating through the energy. And when you can start to grasp that, and it's like, okay, I am hearing what the person said, and you can start to get out of the five senses and believe that. And then, when it's validated, it's like, wow, this is real. So anybody who's starting out, you can have that validation.
That's great.
So important. Yeah,
it really is. Yeah. And listeners and watchers, this is a video on Spotify and YouTube, and we are going to, she has many special skills and talents and interests. But today she was going to say, she had written in her email, would you like me to definitely a demonstration? And we had decided to wing it, but kind of thought, I'd love a demonstration. She does a lot of stuff with ancestral healing and trauma healing. And listeners have been listening to me go through a PTSD issue for about 3 months now, like really about 2 months. But I've never had a PTSD issue that I knew of until it hit me. I went to a psychologist. I've been seeing psychiatrists all my life. I have a medical condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome that causes a lot of it's a connective tissue disorder. Mm-hmm. And so it's genetic, but it makes all my connective tissue different. And I've always had psychiatric care because the first symptoms were mental distortions of reality. Surprise. So listeners and watchers, she was going to walk through. So maybe you could help me with this PTSD trigger I just went through. And it is partly with the medical system and some neglect, from throughout my life from all kinds of people that I loved. So that listeners know this if they've been listening to the podcast. And if you don't know it, now you do. So that's what I was wanting to ask you if you could help me with as a demonstration for the listeners, if you're interested in helping me with that. And just however you do it, I am open and ready.
So you say it's just the past few months that it's really been triggered. Is it because of the medical system, like the health issue in the medical system, or is there something else? Or
that was the trigger. That was the trigger.
Okay.
But that wasn't the root issue. The trigger was a psychiatrist who called me a drug addict after I told him about people in my life all being alcoholics. And that's what was really upsetting me. I had a lot of people in my life who were heavy drinkers. And I used to drink very heavily, but I don't anymore. So
and he called you a drug addict?
Well, for the medication I've been prescribed all my life. Mm-hmm. And I don't do anything illegal. So yes, it was very triggering for me because I've been gaslit by the medical system all my life. I didn't get the diagnosis I just told you about until I was 47. So I was obviously born with scoliosis. I have scoliosis. That's something you're born with, right? And no one told me until I was 47. Okay. I was just gaslit all my life, told I was a hypochondriac by my parents and family. So I'm getting very vulnerable here. I can't see how they wouldn't know I had scoliosis. Yeah. How could they not know that? I mean, I guess it's possible. But I asked them about it and they didn't answer. So,
Okay. So what I'm getting, I still don't know exactly what the trauma is, but what I'm getting is the anger and exhaustion with the medical system. So
very much so.
So going forward, Lisa, because otherwise, if you don't know what you want to move forward to, then you can just keep going in circles. So going forward, ideally, how would you like to be treated, say, by the medical system, your health, and what would you like to create in life? Just give me some kind of an idea.
It doesn't. I would like the doctors to. They always they project. I don't know if you know anything about human design, but this was a good explanation for what happens to me. The two numbers that I'm associated, there's numbers in human design, mine's 3 and 5. And that 5 says people project onto me, but I'm not aware of it. And I was like, yes. So all my life, people have projected onto me, and doctors always project. If they look at my psych med list, I always get those doctors who don't go, I want to help you. You poor thing. Okay. If they knew what psychiatric problems really were like, that's when they were human. That's what they would do. Here's that anger. So I've had a lot of very bad treatment from the medical community all my life.
So it sounds like you get more of the egotistical doctor rather than the compassionate.
Well, I also had at 5, I did have a traumatic episode with a doctor trying to give me I had a very bad infection in my eye. So I had a high fever and it was eating into my brain and bacteria. And they put me in the hospital and I wouldn't take the IV because it hurt in 5, Mm-hmm. And the doctor did come in and he talked to me, told me it wouldn't hurt, but it did. Apparently, I stood up on the bed and I screamed and yelled at him how he lied to me. You're a doctor. You're not supposed to lie to me. I was kicking and then yelling. And they had to hold me down every 6 hours and give me a shot in the butt. And I had my mom and 4 nurses holding me down every 6 hours for a week. like up on my stomach and putting a shot in my butt, and it hurt because those shots hurt.
Oh yeah.
And that hurt a lot worse than the IV, but I didn't understand. I was just scared and sick, and they all just held me down. I screamed. They didn't calm me down at all. No soothing.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
No soothing.
They didn't do that then. So I had epilepsy as a kid, so I was always getting needles, because they were always checking and taking blood and checking stuff. So yeah. I mean, I didn't get as many as you and didn't go through that trauma, but okay. So let's see what's here. So what you're looking for is you're looking for doctors to treat you, the medical profession, with understanding and compassion and actual, showing.
I feel like I can contribute to knowledge about the disorder I have.
Exactly. Yeah. And
I'm good at this stuff. I love health. I study it. I just for fun.
Okay. So just think about the way you've been treated, all your life. Just feel into that.
What's interesting is I'm thinking of the ones who stood out, who are good to me, who made a difference.
Okay.
The ones who are standing out.
So interesting that comes up first, because what's behind that is anger. A lot. Okay. Yeah. A lot of anger there. Sorry. And rage. So you're in this place where you're stuck in the anger and the rage, but because you're a light warrior, you're here to share the light, to support others in the awakening. You want to focus on those that have been supportive and compassionate. Yet this anger, it's like it's heavy and it's black, and it's contributing to the health issues. The health issues were already there.
It is contributing
in with that, but it's making it worse. And so let's go into, just imagine we're going really, and it's kind of stuck. It's all along your back, but especially from mid back on down. And that I think contributed to, you came in with a scoliosis that contributed to it. And so it's a past life as well. Okay. So this is really heavy. So just look at your mid back about down all the way to the pelvis area, and it's more towards the back of you physically. And the anger, there you go, there's a really scared little girl there. And yes, little Lisa, we see you. Okay, as we saw her, she wants to run away. Like she's being seen, so she wants to run away.
She wasn't supposed to be heard or seen, or else she'd get yelled at usually.
Yeah, so she wants to run away from that. So it's okay, little Lisa.
It was more my brother than my parents who were yelled. They usually yelled at each other. My brother was always picking on me.
Okay. So little Lisa, it's okay. There you go. Okay. It's interesting. My dog got up, and he usually doesn't get up. So he must be feeling something that is going through you. So let's bless this. Imagine your entire self being blessed by that angelic light, angelic beauty, that grace, that love. There you go. Okay, and that's bringing up just allow this anger to come up. So allow yourself to receive the angelic love, light, beauty, grace. There you go. And just breathe, because what's coming up is this anger. It's coming up to be released, though. Okay, then there's a lot of shame coming up. This is really heavy. It's almost like a crying shame, and a lot of shame coming up. Okay, then there's some worthlessness energy coming up. So just keep breathing, and angels, just keep blessing Lisa, and anybody else who desires, could use a blessing, is willing to receive a blessing. Just allow yourself to be blessed and breathe, because as you're being blessed by this angelic energy, this heavy density is coming up: anger, shame, guilt. And there you go. There's the fight or flight, wanting to run away. So just keep telling yourself, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm an adult now. In this moment, I am safe. Everything is safe. There you go. Take a deep breath in. Okay.
I never feel safe. Right there, I can't do it. I can't feel safe.
Okay.
That's right there at that point. I just can't feel safe. Right there, everything I'm getting, and it's just right there. I don't feel safe.
Okay, just
right
breathe.
At the edge.
And so bring yourself to one of the ways to feel safe, even if it's just a brief moment in this moment,
I'll take it.
Is to say, just remind yourself of simple things. My name is, so my name is I
Lisa.
live at, I'm a woman.
In Nashville.
Right.
I have 2 cats.
And I'm living in this house, in this room or whatever it is. Apartment,
and it has beautiful windows. So very practical things, kind of like
it is. It's really practical.
Jeweler's bench, and I love it, and I haven't paid it off yet.
So what you're doing is you're bringing yourself. This is actually therapists will use this sometimes to support a person out of trauma response. You're bringing yourself into the present moment, and so when you're saying, I can't feel safe, I can't feel safe, I never feel safe, or whatever the trauma is, you're going back to your
and
past.
pushing it. I'm empowering it by saying that, even, I think.
Yeah, you
but
are.
But it's recognizing the block, though, too. So it's kind of double.
But well, you've already recognized the block. You know that. So when you continue to give it energy and saying, I'm never feeling safe, you're denying that in this moment, this very moment, you are safe.
I am safe right now.
Yeah, exactly. So there are times, yes, the majority of the times might still be 99% of the time you don't feel safe because of past trauma. But that 1%, you start to realize, in this moment, as Joy and I are talking, I'm safe. Your whole body can relax. And then let's say in 2 minutes later, after we're done this, you don't feel safe again. You bring yourself back to the present moment. The more you focus on in this moment, even if it's just for a few seconds or a minute, I am safe. I'm in this room. There's my cat. There's my dog, whatever it is, I am safe. Your mind you start to release that trauma, and your mind starts to recognize, acknowledge, and understand that there are moments, even if they're very brief, that you do feel safe now, that you're an adult, you're not that helpless child, and there are moments that you feel safe. And then what happens is you feel safe. You give your attention to that, your energy to feeling safe. Well, what you give your attention and energy to, you will get more of in your life. And gradually you will start to feel safer and safer in your life.
That's a great method. Thank you. I needed a method like that. And I just want to give you some feedback. When you were telling me, I could feel the energy shifting, and I could feel it coming up. And especially when you felt the dark anger, right through my throat. Then it came out. It wasn't real trauma. It wasn't really, it felt heavy. I felt heavier heavier energy move, or not move, not wanting to move. Let's put it that way. But that was like old stuff. Yeah. I don't know how old this kind of stuff is that I'm dealing with. It doesn't feel as old as that was. That was an attachment to cats. I had an unhealthy attachment. That probably was an ancient Egyptian or something. I just worshipped cats all my life. And I had a Reiki master of my Reiki teacher remove something, she said, from my heart. And I woke up the next day and I got her email saying she removed, she always did this. She would send an email the next day because she puts you to sleep. And the first thing I noticed when I woke up was I feel empty in here, but not bad. It's just empty. And I looked at my cats, and I didn't have this my babies. I do everything for them, and they can't live without me. That kind of thing I lived with all my life, and it was gone. But I did realize I could put it back, and I chose not to because I didn't need it. It's not a fun feeling to feel so desperate about my animals or anyone or anything. They don't want me to.
That's like a codependent, dysfunctional relationship, which we're taught in society, whether it's with an animal or a person. And what you're looking for, is a healthy relationship.
Yes,
where you're both, you both like yourselves, whether it's an animal, a person, or two people, and you're both emotionally fulfilled. And animals, they don't want us to. I mean, dogs are pretty codependent, but
they are codependent dogs. They love it.
But they don't like that. That codependency feels heavy to them. So I'm sure your cats appreciated that. So
thank you so much, Joy. That was really lovely. I mean, I feel a lot better than I have in probably about a month and a half. Physically too. And I've had health problems. We had to put this off and to kind of change the times on this, listeners and watchers. But you had said also that you were before you were going to offer a blessing to the listeners. We'll save that for last, maybe. But
if you want.
I just wanted to ask you, how did you learn how to do this? Because I felt everything, and your voice changed at certain times, and I could like feel it so strong with my empathy, like what you were putting into your voice. How did you learn how to do all this?
Well, that was just flowing through me, and
Yeah, is this a skill you have? Just
30 years on the path and a lot of inner work. Like really, I actually wrote out my vision. I went to June 1998. I went to a workshop. First time I'd ever heard of vision. Because like I said, I used to work with the horses, and then I was introduced to this path and left the horses and just started getting odd jobs in that. Then when I wrote the vision out, I went, well, I want to be a coach. And I didn't, like I'd had a couple coaching sessions by that time, but I didn't really know what I meant. I knew I wanted to help people. And
if you can help a horse, I swear, if you can fix any horse of any ailment at all, you can fix any person. Horses are the most independent, freedom-loving animals. I love them.
They're beautiful. Yeah.
And they are freedom-loving, and they just, they have personalities. They can be intimidating. They can make you laugh. They can make you dance. You know, I love horses. I do.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
I love them.
And so once I wrote that vision out, I wanted to support others. But I realized I had to do, like I did a ton of inner work. And then a lot of trauma came up, memories, like 8 years of repressed memories around sexual abuse. And then I was also really, really shy, extremely shy. If you didn't have a horse when I left the racetrack, I had no idea how to talk to people whatsoever.
Oh my gosh.
If you didn't have a horse, like all I knew were horse people.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn how to, communicate with my own species again. And so it was an interesting journey. But then I guess it was September 2015. I was working, the last job I had, I was working trade shows throughout Canada. And I came back from the last trade show. I'd been back east for 3 weeks, and I went, okay, it's time to start doing this full time. So I gave my notice and just committed to doing this full time. And it was I had done work like this before, generally just for people for free but it wasn't really, I guess, packaged in this way. And it was just one day I was kind of zoning out, and it came in like this, just kind of came in. And then I started working with a friend of mine, and she said, mainly I started just looking at the energy blocks first of all, but then I started giving suggestions, and then I moved into the clearing, and it just kind of evolved. And then, I started doing the shows like this and haven't looked back.
I can't believe that you used to be shy. I just can't believe I used to be really shy. I'm not anymore. So like I have a little bit of it, but not like I did. I can't believe you used to be shy though. That's really interesting to me.
Pain.
You seem so confident, and especially if you can work with horses. I would imagine. I have one friend, an old friend, who she was an Arabian horse breeder. She did the actual insemination. I was out to do the movements and everything. I don't want to do that right now. But she did that part of it, and she put the horse. I was there sometimes when she would work go to her job, but she also trained them. And I love those Arabian horses. We go to horse shows and everything, and I just love them. They're beautiful. They are. What kind of horses did you mainly? Is there a certain type?
First 10 years of my life, I showed horses, and so mostly worked with quarter horses and some, I showed a quarter horse. He was half quarter horse, half thoroughbred. I showed several horses, but his name was Harmony too. Yeah. So I showed him. I did quite well. I got, some provincial awards my last year showing and such. And then I started on the racetrack. So they were thoroughbreds. So I would train and exercise thoroughbreds.
That is so cool. That is amazing. Some of those, there was a stallion where she worked named Black Magic, and he was a stallion. He was definitely frustrated all the time. And he would talk about it all day, like all around the horse place. It was a huge place. It was like Arabian horse breeding facility and training place. And you just hear Black Magic, they give me a horse to love. I just take any horse to love. And he'd just be crying about it all. You go up to him and pet him a little bit. And he just like, give me a horse to love. That's and he was huge. He was a beautiful black stallion. He was Black Magic. That horse fit that name. And he was rippling muscle and just like black, sleek, shiny, everything, ears like
Wow,
stunning. But that horse stood out to me. And there was an old fat horse there. And my friend Tori could not get this horse to do a damn thing. And I went with her one day and I met this horse and I love this horse. She's like me, didn't want to do a thing. So she was training this horse and the horse, I don't feel like going around in a circle. And for some reason, I just got a little hair up me and I started running next to the horse and then the horse speed up a little bit, like, what's going on here? And I was on the outside of the ring and she was in the center and the horse was going around the inside. And every time she would come up to me, she'd get a little faster, faster. And then she was foaming by the end. And we had been going and going. Every time she got up to me, she'd get faster and she'd go faster and faster and faster. And she was so happy by the end of it. And her saddle was soaked. Her saddle pad was dripping. And so I've never seen her do that. It was so much fun. And that was like playing with the horse. Who gets to play with a horse, right? That was an amazing experience for me because we were just like playing like kids, kind of like you play with a dog. But that's awesome. Horse. Big fat lazy horse.
That's awesome. I actually wanted to do the equine therapy, like where working with horses and then you work with clients. And it's called equine therapy. There's different names for it.
Interesting.
And so you actually use horses as a way so the client would interact with them, sometimes, with a fence between them, and they interact with the horse and the horse. If you know horses and like counseling or therapy, like psychology, then you can tell what's going on with the person based on how the horse reacts. And that's actually what I wanted to do. And I got some books on doing that. But financially, I just couldn't, there's no way.
The certifications, I guess, and stuff that you'd need to do. I think you already can do it. Obviously, you're capable.
Yeah.
It just like it's so weird in this field. You have to have a certification now. What?
Yeah, and
who made this certification? I have an argument here.
Yeah, but it's interesting. When I did work one equine therapy program, it was just one day, and she was she'd done a lot of training as a therapist, but to do that, like she needed a horse. They called him a horse wrangler, and because I'd spent my whole life with horses, she had me come. I didn't have to really do anything. It was just in case something happened. But I remember one woman there. She walked up to the horse. The horse was in a field, in a paddock. And the horse came to her, and right away I could see she's got trust issues. But I was a wrangler. I couldn't say anything. But then afterwards, they all sat in a group, and sure enough, this woman said she had trust issues. The animals will tell you.
They reflect. I know my cats were mirrors a lot of the time. Other people's pets seem to be, especially cats, seem to be mirrors for people. Mm-hmm. And dogs are kind of like, I think from what I can tell with dogs, you see how that person loves how a dog acts. Mm-hmm. If they're not self-conscious, because if they see someone new, they're usually like, hey, new person, let's have you and me do some stuff first, and then I'll display all the problems.
My dog just I'm amazed at how he'll be sleeping. He won't move, eyes shut. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sneak out while he's sleeping because I don't like to, he's an old guy. I don't like to leave him for too long. I'll put my hand on the doorknob. He'll pick up his head and open his eyes. Like that's how intimately he knows my energy.
Yeah.
So
that's so cute. They notice when I'm about to get ready to go somewhere. I'm usually at home, because I work from home and everything most of the time. So they do kind of like when I'm putting my shoes on and stuff, even if I haven't gotten to the point where I'm putting my shoes on and I'm just like making plans to get ready with someone on my phone. There's cats and cat heads up in here. What are you doing? What's going on right now? Because you saw how Gandalf came running right when we started the podcast. Yeah. He felt my energy change because for some reason, whenever we start one of these podcasts, I get amped as soon as the recording starts. So I want to ask, where can the listeners find you or get your services or, learn more about you and all the things you've done?
Yeah. My website, it's courageinaction.com. So courageinaction.com. And there's also free, it's called Messages from Spirit ebook. So they're channeled messages. Some are written, some are PD or MP3s. Okay. And so they can get that as well on our website.
And all kinds of good stuff. I'll put that in the podcast description, listeners and watchers. And at this point, I would like to thank our sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And I am an advisor on Everclear under the name Lisa P. And then we're changing it to Lisa Russick. It's supposed to happen any day now. My real name. That's a long story. But if I've been Lisa P on there since they started, but we're changing my name. So and it's just an application. It's also a website. You can go to everclear.com, or I think they call it Everclear Advice app in the Play Store and Google Play Stores and the Apple Play Store or Apple Play Store. Someone's going to slap me for that. I don't know who, Android or Apple. Somebody's going to get me.
There's so many
the Apple Play Store now.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be very upset. Like I said, I don't know who would be more upset. And lastly, I usually ask for advice, but if you want to offer a blessing or any kind of offering to listeners and watchers, that's all. Or if you'd rather give advice or both.
No, let's do a little bit of a call it a process here. So we'll just see where it goes. So just take a deep breath in. Just let that life force energy. There you go. Just let it fill you up. Allow yourself to receive. You deserve and you're worthy to receive. So receive that beautiful, blessed, angelic life force energy. There you go. Let yourself fill up with that. And you can continue doing that. We're just going to go in and see what has come up here. And the first thing that's come up is both an anger and anxiety in the sacral chakra. So this is for everybody who needs it, who's willing to release and move through this. So an anger and anxiety in the sacral. And there's a part of you that wants to run away from this. So let's honor that part of you that is feeling a little bit, not traumatized, but trauma is coming up. There you go. Yeah, there's the trauma. Okay, so we're going right into that first chakra. Actually, this is, if you're willing and if you're feeling very courageous, just allow. We'll only clear as much as you're ready and willing. You can also negate any clearing afterwards by saying no. So you're safe. We're going to your feet. And so this has been rooted into the earth, and this is anger, anxiety, and trauma. So it's trauma from this lifetime, maybe even some past life trauma. Just breathe. There you go. So with your permission, again, you can say no if you're not feeling safe. We're going to call on Archangel Michael to cut the cords to this trauma between the bottom of your feet and the earth so that you're no longer grounded into it in the earth. Okay, just breathe. Just breathe. There you go. Your whole self relax. And now just imagine this energy of trauma and anger, anxiety coming out right from the bottom of your feet, moving all the way up your legs, through your knees, up your thighs. There you go, up over your hips. Just breathe. There you go. There you go. And all the way out up the top of your head. There you go. And take a deep breath in. Now you want to be grounded because otherwise we're not going to leave you here. Otherwise you'd be walking around maybe feeling a little ungrounded and dizzy. So decide how you would like to feel. Say happy, light, free, inspired, creative, appreciated, valued, honored, respected, blissful, peaceful, adventurous, abundant in the flow, allowing ease. There you go. There. And you can just, you don't have to choose all of them. You can just say, I'd really like to feel happy, or I'd like to feel safe or peaceful, whatever it is. There you go. Now imagine you're feeling good about yourself because you're allowing yourself to feel your heart's desires. You've decided how you would like to feel, and you say to yourself, you know what? It's okay for me to feel good. It's okay for me to feel happy, creative. It's okay for me to feel peaceful and safe. And in fact, it's time for me to start feeling peaceful, safe, happy, inspired. It's time for me to allow myself to feel and receive abundance and to be in the flow. Just allow yourself to feel really, really, really good in mind, body, spirit, soul. How that energy is flowing down from the heavens through the top of your head, through your crown chakra, flowing all the way through you, all your heart's desires. Just let yourself feel that, be that, experience that, flowing all the way down your legs and out through your open feet chakras and grounding you into the earth. So now you are grounded into the earth with feeling good, safe, peaceful, at ease, adventurous, inspired, abundant, joyful. There you go. Whatever else your heart desires. And just notice how your mind feels more relaxed. It feels at ease in this moment. Your heart feels relaxed and at ease. Your body, your entire body, your joints, your entire self feels relaxed, safe, at ease. You feel relaxed, safe, and at ease in mind, body, heart, spirit, and soul. Grounded into the earth, feeling amazing. And give yourself permission to feel good, to feel amazing. Soshoko basa, wala soshoko babaka, awala sa, soshoko basa, wala ka, tukabase babaka, awala sa, soshoko basa, wala ka, tukabase babaka. Awala sa soshoka basawala kababaka tukabase. There you go, my friend. Namaste.
Thank you. Whoa. At the end, when you were saying that, I don't know if that was light language or what that was, but I felt it all come out my hands. Like wow. I had my hands like down between my knees on my feet planted on the floor, and all the roots went in. And then I just felt all this like roots out of my hands kind of like root into like the ground too. Wow. But it was more like stuff coming out to just like, but it was like not supposed to be there. But then at the same time, it was like good energy came in from the inside. It didn't go into the ground though. It just stayed in my hands.
Oh, okay.
It was tingling. I know it's just the neat kind of, that is really cleansing. I feel like all those things you were saying that I can embody. And you can look at my eyes and I feel like I'm not as scattered, definitely. And I do feel like an adventurer. I feel like a Reuben from the batter's box down the road. And that's what I'm going to do after this podcast. So thank you, Joy, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for that. I feel amazing. Feel freaking amazing. I'm going to have a great time mixing. I might wait till tomorrow to mix it so I can feel this way again tomorrow and then start working on this process because it's a really good process. Thank you for this. Sincerely, I mean it.
Yeah, your energy feels and looks really relaxed right now.
I feel a lot better.
It does when that energy comes through. It's just so relaxing.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, thank you. I have nothing to say. I love it when a guest leaves me speechless. I love it. Never happens. Hardly ever happens, but it's wonderful. And with that, listeners and watchers, I love you. Enjoy. Do you love the listeners and watchers?
Okay. Thank you for having me on your show, Lisa. And thank you
for her way of saying she loves you, listeners and watchers.
Yeah.
And I love you. I'm so glad you came on the show. Love you, listeners and watchers. We will be back tomorrow, I think, or sometime very soon. And everybody have a great time. Peace out.
Bye, everybody.
Welcome to season 9. I forgot because it's the last thing to do, and 9 is the last number of numerology.
Yes.
And thank you, Joy, for being the first guest of season 9.
Okay, thanks.